The Royal Blue Podcast from the Liverpool Echo.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Royal Blue Podcast. It's the Crystal Palace preview show. I am your host Ian Croll, and joining me to talk all things Everton today we have Tony Scott. Tony, how are things? All good?
Yeah, all good, and good news on the Everton horizon.
It certainly is. It's a little bit of positive news, a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. It's obviously takeover wise nothing is done yet until it's done. But yeah, big week ahead really with Sean Dyche and Crystal Palace and stuff like that. It's going to be an interesting week.
Yeah, interesting week on and off the pitch.
Absolutely. Okay, well, today's agenda, we will go straight into it. We're going to look ahead to Palace. It is a massive game for Everton. And Sean Dyche and me and Tony are going to pick our team and give our predictions. Obviously, I think reports over the past couple of days have suggested that Everton will be nearly at full strength. And as always, me and Tony are going to pick our team, if you are watching on YouTube, using the team selector graphic. And fortunately, Tony has picked a completely different team to what I have picked. So we're going to have a good little debate. So stick with us for that, which is going to be more towards the end of this show. Few other tidbits. We'll also discuss quotes from legendary Everton goalkeeper Neville Southall, who's been at the Labour Party conference this week. He's been speaking about the new owners and Sean Dyche. And we're going to ask Tony first off to talk about the takeover and what this probably means as a whole for the club. Plenty more as well. So please give us a like and give us a thumbs up. All the support that you give us is greatly appreciated. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to the Royal Blue YouTube channel and leave us some reviews on Apple and Spotify. We're not live today, but as always, please leave a comment and join the debate. Tony, we'll get into it. It's been, off the pitch, probably a relatively promising week for Everton. Just your initial thoughts as regards to the takeover with the news that broke on Monday.
Yeah, it's you did touch on it there in terms of light at the end of the tunnel, and there is. I think there's been one big grey cloud over Everton Football Club for the past 5 or 6 years in representing the Farhad Moshiri era, and let's put it bluntly, it's been disastrous. We found ourselves in numerous amounts of debt, points deductions, controversy, fan base fractures with the current with the boards, and we've ended up with an interim board, and it's been a disaster. It's been an absolute disaster. And none of us probably forecast this when Farhad Moshiri first bought the shares. So yeah, it's one of this week I've felt like, wow, we've actually got something to look forward to. Because we've had nothing to look forward to on the pitch because obviously the predicament we're in. But you've always had that in the mindset of we've got the Bramley Moor. That's our hope. That's what we're inspiring to look forward to in many years to come. And now that's still there, and you're obviously going to have the issues at that boardroom level resolved. Hopefully, fingers crossed, pending Premier League approval and FA approval. Then if that goes ahead, I think it's just a big, big weight off every Evertonian's shoulders, because as you know, living in the city, it's not been good. And yeah, I think you tend to forget as well. We'll touch on Neville Southall's quote shortly, but Everton Football Club is one gigantic football club with a huge, huge fan base, and you can quite clearly see why wealthy billionaires have been falling over themselves to buy this football club, even with the debt that we're in, even with the playing staff that we've currently got. Even the way the football club is at the moment, there's still billionaires out there that are willing to pay big bucks to purchase this football club because you can see potential. And just to have that potential and that hope now, as an Evertonian, I'm quite looking forward to the future where I was dreading it, to be honest, because you didn't know what was actually going to be happening from one day to the next. So to look at the Bramley Moor Stadium now with potentially new ownership, with being debt-free, with starting off on a clean slate. And now you're going to see Evertonians with a smile on the face, because, as you know, living in the city, as I've just touched on there, we live in here with arguably one of the most successful football clubs in English football. That's who we share this city with. And to look at Everton Football Club, the way it's been run, it's just not good enough. Now that we've got a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, just give every Evertonian a little bit of hope.
You mentioned, the billionaires that were falling over Everton. There was a couple of options, probably a few months ago, and then it kind of got whittled down to Friedkin and Texter, didn't it? For you, is this the better option over Texter?
Yeah, and it's easier to say that in hindsight now, isn't it? I've always wanted
because we've got him,
exactly. Yeah. I think what worried me about Texter, and I've said it in previous conversations I've had with Everton, is that the fact that he was already purchasing, well, he's already part owned Crystal Palace, and he was already shouting his mouth off about buying another football club in the same league, and then he was already talking about potential transfers and a potential new manager.
Thought he was quite disrespectful to Sean Dyche. Of course
he was, yeah, definitely. And Sean Dyche, listen, he's got enough balls to juggle, so to speak, and it's been a tough job for him. But he doesn't need to hear a potential new owner talking about his current role. It's very disrespectful. And you could only imagine what he'd actually be like if he took over a football club and had full control of it. Because he was shouting about this before he's even bought a share. So I think it was quite disrespectful towards Crystal Palace, disrespectful towards Everton, and a lot of staff at Everton. So yeah, I'm quite happy that, listen, if we were in no man's land and he was our only hope, then obviously he'd hold your hands up and say, yeah, please take us from what could have been the clutches of 777, believe it or not. So we dodged the big bullet there. But out the two, listen, the Friedkins they've got vast amounts of experience in running a successful football club in Serie A. You could call them a fellow sleeping giant like ourselves, with huge passionate supporters like ourselves who want to get, obviously, their own stadium issues and want to get that football club back on the map. And Everton are entwined with Roma in terms of they're trying to get that next step in terms of that sleeping giant. So, yeah, I'm quite happy. And also, if you look at the finance situation, the fact that the media rights and funds and loans being secured now, where Everton aren't paying an interest on that. I think I had reports of maybe even a 30 million.
It was ridiculous,
£30 million interest a season alone. That's what was actually costing us, which is extraordinary. No wonder we was just saddled in debt. A cap of, obviously, they're still in terms of that loan's already been secured. So we go into a new stadium, potentially all being approved by the Premier League. We'll go into a brand new world-class stadium, debt-free, with potential investment now to go and sort this playing side out, because that's all we want to see. The outside world to take care of itself instead of the boardroom and a CEO and a chairman and director of football and manager. That'll all take care of itself. But we'll all go into a brand new stadium, hopefully as a Premier League club, but we'll go in there debt-free now with investment ready to secure our future.
I mean, definitely. It's without a doubt a positive, and we spoke about it on 2 pods this week. You know, one with Dave Powell, Reach's Business of Football writer, and we did a reaction to the news on Monday. But I think we still need caution from my point of view. I think it's all positive, without a doubt. You know, is it going to be perfect? I don't think it is. I don't think any owner in the Premier League or world football, modern football these days, are perfect. I think there's always going to be issues that arise. And I think the biggest thing for me, which kind of hit me, is that back in the day, you didn't really care or who owned a football club. They always worked in the background. Now, I know it's different now because of how, big the money has become in football. I just think I'd like them to do things in the background rather than in the foreground. Like, almost like they're
not the front.
Yeah, but they're not there.
That's how they work. I spoke to a Roma guy this week, a Roma journalist. He said how they work is that they're invisible.
Yeah,
you'll never see them at press conferences. There's very rarely pictures. You can only circulate this on. You only have to type on websites and try to look for pictures on them. There's very few of them.
Yeah, true.
You don't. He said you don't see them in press conferences. You don't see them with arms round new signings. You don't see them doing interviews. You don't see them engaging with the fans. They are silent owners. They do the talking with the cash, so to speak. They put it up front, out their own cash. They don't borrow on the strength of what they are investing in, like 777 were doing. They were basically borrowing everyone's cash to purchase a football club and not their own. Whereas in the Friedkin Group, that comes out their own pockets. They are silent partners. And if you look at it on face value as well, the way Premier League is being run at the moment, the likes of only across the park, FSG, quite silent. You never see them at the forefront of anything. You don't see Sheikh Mansour at the forefront of Manchester City.
Yeah.
You've only just come to see Jim Radcliffe at the moment at Manchester United. And you wouldn't see, if I could ask, 100 people name Arsenal's owners, you wouldn't know them.
Yeah.
And that's the way you want silent partners to invest in their cash on the playing side. And the big caveat here with this is that they make the right decisions from a football perspective. They've got the money, they've got the ambition, They can say what they want to do, but they've got to make the right decisions, because it's quite clearly, well, it's out there in black and white, isn't it? Everton, the way it's been run over the past 5 or 10 years, been nothing short of amateurish. That goes from recruitment to scouting to managers to transfers, the full turnover. It needs obviously sorting out from scratch, and that's my opinion, only because I just think that when a new owner comes in, he's going to be looking at the football side of it. That's what wins your games. That's what gets you up in terms of trophies and getting into Europe. And that's what he's going to be looking at. How can I get from where we are to there? And as he quite clearly done, when he first set eyes on Roma, he brought in Jose Mourinho, got a European trophy. He brought in De Rossi, who's like a club legend. And things weren't going well for them, so we sacked him after 4 games. So that just shows you that they're ruthless when they want to be. They don't care about people's careers or professionalism and anything else. They do what's good for the football club, and that's what needs to happen. The footballing side of things at Everton need to improve drastically for them to get from where they are now to mid-table in Europe.
Just on a side note, that next Crystal Palace board meeting with Tex is going to be a bit awkward, isn't it?
Could happen on Saturday, Goodison.
It could do, yeah. I'm sure we've got a room that you can rent out. Do you feel a bit sorry for Moshiri? A little bit?
No.
No, not at all.
Not one bit. Not one bit. Everton, it's been embarrassing. And I think I've seen a lot of social media posts like explaining the Farhad Moshiri here. How do I explain where Everton were before Farhad Moshiri came to where we are now? I'm trying to explain that to my son's 7. So he's only just started getting to football now, and I'm trying to explain like how football works, and he doesn't know points deductions and PSR, obviously hasn't got a clue. So in years to come, Everton have gone from challenging the top 6 with David Moyes, and then we won the lottery with a billionaire, and then it went pear-shaped. And how do you explain that? He's ruined this club. The only thing I will give him...
I don't think he's intentionally ruined it, though,
No, I think it's just, in terms of footballing decisions, he's put his money where his mouth is.
Yeah.
But...
got the stadium over the line.
Exactly. That's
to an extent.
That's one thing you will congratulate him over, that stadium alone. But the rest has been a disaster. 3 directors of football, 8 managers. And I think it's perfectly summed up his time was in 2018 season when Ronald Koeman was signing players. Director of football, Steve Walsh was signing players.
Right.
Bill Kenwright was signing players. And Farhad Moshiri was signing players. 4 different types of infrastructure for signing players at a football club, and it was never healthy. Hence why we ended up with Gylfi Sigurdsson, David Klassen, Wayne Rooney, 3 number 10s, trying to shoehorn them where Dominic Calvert-Lewin was playing right back. It was insane. Yeah. And we were all just going with the flow, thinking spending money hands over fist. And in the main, when you took a step back and go, wow, actually that went on. He was signing players. It was just a disaster from minute one. There's a lot of bad games, bad signings, bad managers. Rafa Benitez being in the Everton dugout just springs to mind straight away. Yeah. It's been an absolute disaster. But one thing we will thank him for is that world-class stadium on the waterfront, because that'll be the envy of many, many Premier League clubs. And not just Premier League clubs, worldwide. It's just to look at the location for any tourist coming into the city will want to visit that on the Liverpool waterfront. It's going to be open 7 days a week for restaurants, for tourism, for everything. It's just an unbelievable thing to have, and it's our future.
We holding off on naming a stand after Moshiri then, are we?
I don't think you see many statues there.
Probably not. Let's take it back to Friedkin then before we move on to Big Nev and Palace. What does this mean then for Sean Dyche and, the Everton's football operations? Bad start to the season, let's face it. The club are, the current football operations, obviously Thelwell did an interview last week and he's come out and publicly backed Sean Dyche, the dreaded vote of confidence. But, I do think that this week we will win, and I think things could get back on track. So I suppose really I'm looking more with the question more long term. Yeah,
long term. You don't need to be Einstein to work out that when new owners come into a football club, they make some tough decisions, whether people like it or not, whether supporters like it or not, whether staff like it or not, whether the current manager sets up like it happens. Yeah. Because if you're buying a football club for the best part of £500 million, You want some say in the matter. Do you know what I mean? You're not going to let... Obviously, you'll be putting a CEO in place, maybe a director of football, someone to obviously oversee the footballing side of it, and you want them to make some tough decisions. We're hearing the CEO that he employed at Roma, they were the main reason why De Rossi got sacked, and that was a club legend at Roma.
But as long as it's, whether it's a CEO who's in charge of football operations or a director of football or sporting director, whatever, as long as they're making that decision because they're knowledgeable about the football side.
Well, it looks to me as if they stay away from that footballer side of it. Yeah. The CEO was apparently the reason why, obviously, De Rossi was sacked. And if that's for the sake of... They lost 4 games, didn't they? I think they won at the weekend. So it kind of worked into a certain extent short term. But yeah, that's one thing that I will be... Well, it's common sense, really, isn't it? When a new owner comes into a football club, they want their own ideas implemented, and it's very rare that a manager and the recruitment team and everything else generally stays on board with the new regime, so to speak. It's very rare. We'll probably see that with Ten Hag this season. You'd be surprised if he lasts the season at Manchester United. Yeah. And already they've made scenes around the background. They've changed the CEO. They've changed the recruitment team. They've changed a lot at boardroom level. Jim Ratcliffe, and he's only been there 5 minutes himself. So it generally does happen there. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see big changes at Everton Football Club from the manager settle.
I mean, everyone knows that Dyche and Thelwell's contracts are both up at the end of the season. The ideal scenario for me is that Friedkin doesn't have to make a decision, because if Dyche can improve results and as the season goes on, it's looking more and more likely that we stay up, then we just let Dyche finish the season off. He kept us up. Don't offer him a new contract if that's what Friedkin wants to do. Obviously, I don't know what the situation is going to be with Thelwell either, but for me, I'd probably say that at least Dyche would be the one to, not renew his contract. Because the worst thing possible now is that we do sack Dyche, and then when Friedkin is already, say he comes in, he's having to bring a manager in to put out a fire. He doesn't want to do that. He wants a fresh and clean slate in the summer where he can bring in his own director of football, and then the director of football to then bring in his manager and his philosophy and his style of play. I just think it would be now an absolute nightmare. Obviously, it's a nightmare if results don't improve, and I get a decision potentially is going to have to be made. But I want Dyche to improve this team. I want results to improve. I want Dyche to finish this season off, and then at least you can say, shake his hands, well done for keeping us up. You did a good job. 3 seasons in a row, you could say he's kept us up for.
But there's a caveat to that. Sorry,
go on.
If Friedkin comes in 4 weeks and Dyche is still there, results are picking up. I'm just being hypothetical.
Yeah.
By playing devil's advocate. There's a transfer window in January.
Yeah.
And he's thinking, hang on, this man's not going to be here at the end of the season. There's potentially Kevin Thelwell mightn't be here at the end of the season with his contract finishing.
Yeah.
But I want a marquee shot. I want to make a statement like he did with Jose Mourinho.
Yeah.
He's not going to give a manager money or a director of football money to spend on personnel when they're not going to be there in 5 months' time. So what does he do?
No.
Does he make a decision?
It's like say it's better that a decision, he doesn't have to make a decision, and this then falls down on the team right now and Sean Dyche.
So Dyche has basically got to improve on results.
Well, yeah, for one, I think that's a given, isn't it? We haven't won, is it in 6 in a row in the Premier League now, including the Arsenal game, last game of the season. I just think, if anything now, this situation with the takeover, it's probably bought Dyche a little bit more time than what people probably...
Yeah.
I do, because I don't think Mashiri's going to sack Sean Dyche, even if we get beat against Crystal Palace. I think Dyche has probably got now at least a month or 2 until Friedkin comes in.
Would you think that... Now, we've seen, obviously, links with Everton potential transfers that have happened recently involving the John Texas former clubs in Lyon. Mm-hmm. So would you not be naive enough to think that you're telling me Friedkin's wouldn't have a say in what's currently going on? In terms of he's got big capital at the club already with the loans, and he's on the brink of taking over. Are you telling me that he could be not saying, well, hang on, I'm not happy with results here, we're bottom of the league?
So a renegotiation of we need to sack Sean Dyche now?
Could potentially happen, I don't know. But if you're buying a football club for $500 million and we're sitting at the bottom of the league with potentially a squad that should be 4 or 5, 6, 7 places above, you're not going to sit on your hands, are you?
No, I don't think so. I think if it, I'm
playing devil's advocate. By the way, I'm hoping results improve. And I'm like you, I agree. I'd like to see the current regime see us over the line at the end of the season and we go into the Bramley Moor with a new slate. I'd like that.
Yeah.
But it's not ideal.
No, obviously that is it's none of it's a perfect scenario. It's just probably the best scenario out of many bad ones, isn't it? Let's face it. I don't disagree with what you're saying. Say if we lose like the next 3 and the takeover still hasn't been completed for whatever reason, then I don't think it's out of the question if Friedkin gets in touch with Mashiri and goes, you need to sack him.
Yeah.
And I'll subsidise that with regards to, any takeover negotiation. I don't know. I think there's a lot of permutations, but again, I'll just reiterate the best thing for Friedkin at the moment is that he doesn't have to make a decision during the season. If he can get us over the line, Dyche, then fantastic. It's
it will go well for both parties as well. I think the supporters would be, although we're being upset with and obviously just with the results and with the substitutions and the tactics and the football.
Yeah.
But I think in the main, if he kept us up on the end of the season, we play Southampton on our final game at Goodison, I think it'd be quite ideal to give him that great handshake and go, do you know what? You've kept this club afloat in the last 3 seasons.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Fair play. You get your bonus, check your account on Monday, happy days, and then we go into the Bramley Moor as a Premier League club and everyone's a winner. Yeah. I think that would be the perfect scenario, and then obviously the onus would be on the Friedkin Group to go and get that. I'm expecting a big name because that's what they'll want.
Yeah.
Whether that works or not remains to be seen, but as long as we're kind of playing attractive football in the Bramley Moor Stadium and we're getting results, it's win-win.
Last question on this then, and you kind of already just touched on it there, talking about the last game at Goodison against Southampton. Is there any scenario that you foresee the Friedkins fast-tracking the stadium move towards like the mid-season?
I can't see it at the moment, but there's potential.
Yeah, they could do it if they wanted to.
It'll be. We know that the pitches it'll be getting laid on. Is it next week? Is it? I think I read somewhere.
Yeah.
And it'll be officially completed in December.
So there's obviously test events that probably haven't been scheduled on paper that just haven't been released, have they? But I know they do need to do some test events before that. But I think it's been brought up a couple of times, and I just thought now that this takeover is on the verge of being complete, it would be interesting to see what their mindset.
Yeah, their mindset is obviously they want to see a world class stadium that's bringing in revenue, and currently Goodison isn't. So with each passing game at Goodison Park, the club is losing more and more money. But if think of that from their business side of it, they'll be going, hang on, if we can get the Bramley Moor in March, so to speak, then we could be generating from March to May 5 or 6 home games, and then all of a sudden you've gone from making that much to that much. Yeah. But no, logistically, I think it's all been done in the background. Everton will finish off at Goodison Park in Southampton. Everything being confirmed, as you just said, the testing events already scheduled, contracts already to be already confirmed and everything. So yeah, I think ideally now we finish at Goodison on the final day of this season against Southampton. The penultimate game of the season, and then we move into the Bramley Moor in the August time, 2025.
Okay, well, let's move on from takeover. The show's going to be plenty more content regards to that over the next couple of weeks, but we'll. Big Nev's been speaking at the Labour Party conference, spoke to one of our reporters, Dan Haygarth, about Everton, the takeover, and he actually spoke about the job that Sean Dyche has done. So I'll read his quotes out. You can go to the Liverpool Echo website and read that article now, but here's a couple of snippets of the quotes that he said to Dan. So, it's the best club in the world. We just need people to come in who match that ambition and improve the team. Since we made that decision that finishing 10th was okay, the club has gone downhill from there. The ambition went and it has never come back. We need to make sure that the ambition comes back and we actually live up to our mantra. Whoever takes over must have the ambition to deliver and make us the best club in the world. And if it's not, then it's the wrong person to come in. I think it's a really good piece from Dan. And, it's good to see Big Nev talking about Everton and stuff like that. But the only reason I really brought this topic into the podcast today is because there's a lot of people agreeing with him. But I've actually seen a lot of people kind of disagreeing with him as well. And I don't know if you've seen that on Twitter.
No.
So here's some of the replies to some of those quotes. So someone said, once you fall, you can't just assume your rightful place. And another comment on the back of that says, it takes more than simple ambition to compete at the top of the Premier League on any kind of consistent basis. Now, though they're not being critical of Neville, I just think they're saying you can't just go, well, Everton were great in the 80s to an extent and one of the biggest clubs in the 80s. Well, no, I'm just trying to, think what I'm just trying to get.
What have Aston Villa done? They've gone from a Championship club to a Champions League club in 2 or 3 years. Because they employed the right man for the job in Unai Emery.
I mean, do you agree with Neville, first of all?
Yeah. And I don't know, you can't do it overnight. I totally accept that. I think if the Friedkin Group are looking at someone to be an ambassador, to maybe sit on the current board, look no further than the big man himself. He speaks passionately as an Evertonian, with ambition as well. I keep on saying it, and I'll say it till I'm in my coffin. Everton are a huge club with a big fan base, and yet relative success has been scarce in the past 25 years. But we are still the 4th most successful club in English football. Founder members of the Football League, founder members of the Premier League, huge fan base, 25,000 season ticket waiting list. We're going into a world-class stadium. Why shouldn't we have ambition? Why shouldn't we? That the only thing that could let us down is the success on the pitch in the last 25 years. But apart from that, we're a massive club and a big force in English football. So fully accept Neville's comments. I fully stand behind them as well. I think what he says is correct. We need ambition in there. We need whoever it may be in terms of at the top of the football club to make some tough decisions, whether that be right or wrong, as long as it's correct for the football club in terms of making us back to where we belong. It's not going to happen overnight, but it'll happen over season by season, as Aston Villa have proved. Aston Villa were in the Championship 2 or 3 seasons ago. Yeah. People tend to forget that. And with the right people in charge of your football club and the right manager and the right ambition, your fan base is there. Everton no different from Aston Villa. No different.
No.
And this is where it all boils down to. People at the top making the correct decisions in terms of recruitment. You live and die by your recruitment. Every football club does. City, although obviously what's going on off the pitch with Manchester City, you very rarely see them make a bad signing. Yeah. Very, very rarely. Yeah. I've seen they bought a winger the other day for 20 million. Serino looks like a world beater.
Yeah, it does actually.
20 million quid. You've spent that on Beto. Do you know what I mean? And your recruitment, it all boils down to your recruitment. If you can employ the right people in charge of your football club, then the world's your oyster, as Aston Villa have proved. So, fully beyond Big Neville Southall's comments. And I wouldn't mind seeing him on to be an ambassador at Everton Football Club when we get in the Bramley Moor.
I mean, I just think Neville comes from a time where nothing but the best was good enough. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, during the 80s, even during the 90s, when things started to spiral a little bit, we still won the FA Cup.
Still in Europe.
Exactly. So Neville was still a huge part of that. He's only ever really known, not every single season, but winning trophies, being at the top end of the league. And it's obviously people can talk about the Moyes era and stuff like that. We didn't win a trophy, which is obviously disappointing. I think success with regards to that era is all relative. But I think Neville's obviously speaking from the heart. He's very outspoken, and he doesn't mince his words. He's just saying if he said the complete opposite to what he said there, people would be like, "Hang on a minute, Nev. What are you saying? We want the owners to come in, have a little bit of ambition.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
We know it's going to take a bit of time. It's not going to be done, right away. I just think, the Friedkins are going to come in and hopefully put a plan in place. You can talk up a big game, and maybe it's best that they don't talk up a big game.
But they don't. They are silent partners.
They just do things behind the scenes.
They are doers. They aren't sayers. That's what I obviously when I was speaking to Emi Roma guy, he said they are doers. They are just. You won't hear them say a thing. They won't be saying we're going to be signing in. We're going to be doing this. It's all done in the background. And as we've seen this week, no one had any idea what we were to foresee over the weekend. It was
that's why it seems like it's gone so quick. They've been in contact with Farhad Moshiri since day one, haven't they?
Yeah. And they've seen obviously the potential of John Textor taking over and right, let's get out of this. Let's go and pay that loan. We want this football club. They bought the football club of Farhad Moshiri. He's gone with relatively next to nothing. About 800 million loss for him. But obviously
it's a bad day, isn't it?
It is a bad day if you think about it. He must look at it and go, why on earth did I invest in the football club? Why on earth? But
Well, he should be looking back on why did I make this decision? Why did I make that decision?
Why did they listen to that agent? Why did they listen to Cage Option? Why did they sack Marco Silva? Why did they do that? There's all decisions that he's made, and he could sit back and go, wow, I've just been led down a garden path here. And that's his own fault, because if you're in charge of a football club, you've got to make ruthless decisions for the best sake of the football club, not listening to agents. And it's quite clearly what's happened at Everton Football Club is partly down to his bad errors.
Okay, sticking with Big Nev then. He spoke about Sean Dyche in the same article as well. So he says, it's really difficult. I feel sorry for Sean Dyche. I think he's tried to build a house on quicksand and never knows what he can plan, never knows what the future holds. Carries on. To be fair to him, I think he's done a great job. Unfortunately, when survival mode finishes at the end of the season, everyone expects it to be a level playing field after that. Once you've brought in new players, it takes time to settle. He's changed the style slightly, so they're going forward more. He's trying to be strong at the back. I'm confident that whatever happens, we'll probably finish in a decent position. It's probably, difficult to disagree, really. I think Sean Dyche obviously has been hamstrung. Don't think he's helped himself, certainly over certainly since the start of this season. But what have you made of that? First of all, is he right? Are we going to finish in a decent position?
I think we'll do all right. I think we'll just do enough. Obviously, I think
even with Sean Dyche at the helm.
Yeah, I think with about 3 or 4 games to spare, I think we'll be in a comfortable position where we're not looking over our shoulder. But that's relatively speaking if we get results in these next 6 or 7 games.
Yeah, which we've got to, haven't we?
They're all winnable fixtures. I think we play out the 7 games we've got coming up. 3 of the opposition are teams that have come up from the Championship. And yeah, you could say that we played Brighton, we've played Tottenham, and they were tough fixtures, but there's no excuse now. We played Leicester last week. We've got Crystal Palace. We've got Southampton to come soon. There's games there where you're looking and go, hang on, we've got to be
players back from injury.
Exactly, and then the excuses start wearing thin there, and goes, hang on, we've got Seamus Coleman injured. Yeah, he might be injured, but not being funny. Got the players back. Branthwaite's back. Patterson's back. Garner's back. All these players are back, and DI's back. All these things, so that you can run out of excuses. You're looking along, and this side should be nowhere near where it should be. Yeah. Shouldn't be behind Southampton. Shouldn't be behind Ipswich. Shouldn't be behind Nottingham Forest, in my opinion. Shouldn't be behind a host of football club, but it is at the moment. And yeah, the excuses will wear thin in a couple of weeks' time when we've got their fixtures out the way.
Okay, let's move on then from those Big Nev comments. You can read that piece on the Liverpool Echo website from our colleague Dan Haygarth. Palace preview. Tony Everton, well, yet to win a game this season. How important is this match? Is it a must-win for you?
I think I wouldn't say it's a must-win. It's performance-wise, it's got to improve. And I said that with the caveat of, look what happened against Bournemouth. I thought Everton were brilliant against Bournemouth, but you've got to see the game out, and we never. I think in the first half against Leicester, I thought we were really good. I thought second half, when the substitutions came, I thought we just looked a different side, completely lost our way. Once Corey went from a 6 to a 10, I thought Everton just looked disjointed. I thought the substitution in Harrison didn't make sense. I thought Everton were all over the place, then we lost our way. So if Everton if Sean Dyche doesn't make, in my opinion, daft substitutions, if he plays the way we played against Bournemouth for 99 minutes, 100 minutes, then, and if it ends up a draw, so be it. But we want to see, obviously, improvement. And that's substitutions, that's tactics during the game management. And I can see it, to be honest. I think we've got a good side now in terms of back on the pitch. Jarrad Branthwaite's back fit, so there's no excuses there. So yeah, I think I think what Dyche will look at it now in terms of chunks of games. And if he sees this now, I think we've got, is it Newcastle next up and someone else away, Ipswich away
after the international break.
So if he looks at these 3 games coming up now, and he said, you know what, if I can get 7 points from these 3 games, I'll be all right. Even 6 points will probably be all right.
Newcastle's going to be tough.
Newcastle will be tough.
Good start, haven't they?
Yeah, they'll have an half-decent start, but Ipswich, Palace, Newcastle, you've got to be talking a minimum of 6 points. Considering the starts that we've had, we've got to be talking 6 points there. I don't think one win would be satisfactory amongst Evertonians considering the start we've had.
No, I mean, I described it as a must-win on Twitter the other day, and I took a little bit of flack for it. I don't describe it as a must-win in the sense that if we don't win, we're going to get relegated. That's obviously not the case. But if you look at it, and I guess that everyone's right, it's still early in the season. Palace take 3 points off us, they go 5 points clear. Villa play Ipswich. You'd expect Villa to win. I think Ipswich are at home, but it's not the question that Ipswich will get a win there. Gaps will start to appear the longer you go without a win. Even a draw for me.
Forest are flying as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's obviously other teams still down there. Wolves haven't picked up a win. Southampton. So it's still early days, but if you don't expect to beat Crystal Palace at home, because they're struggling as well, and you might as well just stop supporting Everton. You might as well stop watching football.
The perfect summary of it is the fact that you don't want to be sitting there in September looking how Ipswich and Southampton are doing.
Exactly.
You don't want
Which I'm doing.
Exactly, and that shouldn't be the case. We shouldn't be doing that. So you don't want to be getting to the start of October thinking, how are Ipswich getting on? And looking at Ipswich's fixtures and Southampton's fixtures and all these type of fixtures going on. You should be concentrating on Everton. Palace at home, Ipswich, Newcastle, 7 points minimum. 7 or 6 points, that should be. I think that'll keep Evertonians happy. Obviously, what we're talking about, Neville Southall, he'll want 9, and rightly so. But you'd take 6 or 7 right now and go into the next international break with a little bit of confidence behind us.
I was almost gutted that Forest beat Liverpool the other day. Almost. No, I just thought to myself, God.
Never be gutted Liverpool.
No, I know. You say, you can't even do us a favour, can you?
I'll be worrying about that result towards the end of the season, to be honest.
No, exactly.
Rather take it in September rather than May.
Yeah, I mean, things are this week seem to be turning a little bit, going for us to an extent. Branthwaite, Patterson played for the under-21s. We're getting players back. I know they're probably not going to be fully fit, certainly match fit. That's going to come over time. But team news-wise, probably going to be looking stronger than we've ever been, certainly since the start of the season. Palace-wise, I mean, if you look at the previous meetings, we've only lost 1 against them in the last 19 Premier League games. And I think the last time we got beat at home was in 2014. So
remember that well, we were going for 4th at the time.
Yeah.
And Yannick Bolasie.
Well, it was under Martinez.
Yeah, I think Everton were going for 4th.
Yeah.
It was towards the end of the season.
Yeah.
I think we were literally really close to be going for 4th at the end of the season. And I think with Bolasie, and he had a couple of wingers, might have even been Zaha, ripped us to shreds down the flanks, and they got a 3-2 result. But yeah, apart from that, we normally do quite well against Crystal Palace, especially at Selhurst Park. And we obviously all know the famous 3-2 comeback at Goodison, which kept us in the division. So yeah, we've got fond memories against Crystal Palace, but I've looked at Palace this season and they're not great shakes.
Yeah, exactly.
They've sold a lot of decent players as well.
Yeah, you can't look too much into like games that happened like 6-7 years ago. Do you know what I mean? It's obviously the stats now and what Palace are doing now. I think they had probably a strong end to last season, certainly when they got the new manager in. So I think we were a little bit gutted, weren't we, after, I think, that draw. Remember when we played them Monday night?
Yeah.
And it was like, we've got to win this. And I think we ended up drawing. It seemed like a missed opportunity.
He has a lot of players injured that day as well.
Yeah, but then Palace pulled away.
Yeah.
Pretty much, they weren't even in the relegation fight.
Yeah,
they won a good couple. So for me back then, it was kind of like, if we win this, I think we would have gone about 5 or 6 points clear of the relegation. You know, in the end, everything worked all out. So you can't, like I say, you can't look too much into previous results, certainly ones that are like many years ago. But I think the point remains that we usually don't get beat against Palace at home, and it's once every blue moon. So, should we pick our team?
Yeah, let's go for it.
As mentioned, we have picked a different team. I honestly thought when you set your team over before that it would be the same. I don't know why, but it's not. So I'm glad it's different.
Yeah.
So
same as yours.
Yeah, it's not. It's different. So let's change the graphic. For those watching on YouTube. There we go.
Let's see.
And Tony, you can go.
Pickford picks himself.
Go first. So Tony's team is in with the pink background, and I've got a lovely shade of yellow.
Lovely.
Go on then, Pickford. Obviously, I mean, quick word on Pickford. He's struggling a little bit at the moment. Yeah,
you can quite clearly see that he's had a tough pre-season. What I mean by that is he hasn't got into the swing of things at club level. Obviously, he has a long tournament with England, reaching to the final. He's never come back and had that pre-season like the rest of the players. I think you can see Mikalenko struggling as well this season. So, yeah, I think he's been partly at fault for numerous goals this season. You can pick holes in there. I don't think... You could blame him for the Leicester goal, to be honest, because Everton struggled from that area, and we'll probably discuss it now in terms of that 6-yard box Everton tend to struggle with anyway, because Pickford just doesn't come off his line, doesn't demand his box like that. It's not the type of goalie he is, but listen, he's England's number one. He's by far our best goalkeeper, because Virginia and Begovic, no, they couldn't push him for the starting place. So yeah, Jordan Pickford plays, and I think we'll see over these next couple of games, he'll get into the swing of things, and he's a confidence player himself, isn't he? I think if he starts getting clean sheets, he starts to improve himself. So yeah, Pickford starts straight away for me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any question that Jordan Pickford starts for me. So he's in my team as well, but carry on with yours, Tony.
Yeah, obviously if Seamus Coleman is fit, which I'm probably not expecting him to be.
Yeah, it's looking unlikely, isn't it?
Unlikely, yeah. I'd start with Ashley Young. And one thing, he gets some unfair criticism, Ashley Young. And I do tend to think he struggles at right back, to be fair. I prefer him playing left back.
Yeah, it's a weird one, that, isn't it?
It's a necessity for us at the moment in terms of playing right back, because Seamus is out. Ashley Young, whatever you say about him, he's never injured. Considering his age, you'd be thinking he's always on the treatment table. He's always first out there, putting his body on the line, always in the referee's face, always working his backside off, always wanting the best interest of Everton Football Club at heart. Beautiful pass for Lamanzi last week.
What an assist, yeah.
And again, he's out there at 39 years of age, flexible, right back, left back, midfield, plays absolutely everywhere, just as he's told, so to speak, from the manager. Manager loves him. And I think in the predicament that we're in, obviously in hindsight, you'd love a young right back to be flying down the wing and knocking balls into Calvert-Lewin, but A, we don't play that way under Sean Dyche, and B, we haven't got the personnel to do that. We've got Ashley Young or Seamus Coleman. Nathan Patterson's obviously coming back from an injury, but even then, I'd still play Ashley Young and Seamus Coleman above Nathan Patterson, in my opinion. So, yeah, Young starts for me.
I think there'd be still a question mark over Patterson's fitness anyway.
Yeah.
Even though we did play, I think it was 60 minutes or roughly around that time. I wouldn't throw him back in the team.
Who?
Patterson,
no.
Although my right back's different to yours.
Especially who we're up against in Eze.
Yeah.
So Eze's going to be switching flanks, and Nketiah may just get over as well for Palace. So Everton could have some problems there. Mark and Eze's their best player. He's been the only player playing for them this season, Eze, isn't he? So he's a big, big threat. Centre-backs pick themselves, in my opinion. And what I will say is that Jarrad Branthwaite, even if he is half match fit, I'm not interested if he's Sean Dyche fit or he hasn't had gaffer stay or not. He's playing. Because an half fit Jarrad Branthwaite is better than a fully fit Michael Keane for the sake of the team, in my opinion.
Well, he needs to do something different, doesn't he? I mean, I know we only conceded one against Leicester, but if you do look at that goal, you know, you could blame Pickford,
of course,
but you'd also need to look at Michael Keane and Tarkowski and the fact that they ran into each other. And I always repeat this, but sometimes a partnership is better than having a world-class defender sometimes, because I don't think that happens with Branthwaite and Tarkowski for me.
You've seen Tarkowski's levels drop this season with no Jarrad Branthwaite in there, because they won't work in tandem. They won't know the fullbacks where they are. They won't know who's dropping, who's going in behind. They work perfectly. And that's not been the case for Michael Keane. And you know what, directly, if you look at it on face value and you look at the goals that Everton have conceded this season, you could probably say one or two were down to Michael Keane. Not all of them. I would just think the whole balance of the team just looks unsettled when he's at the back. I think Jordan Pickford's not the same goalkeeper with Michael Keane, because he doesn't trust his centre-half to head the ball clear as much when Jarrad Branthwaite plays. And what I've noticed this season more than ever is that the fullbacks don't stop the cross. I think they've been programmed so much to not stop the cross because they're quite happy with balls going in the box, and Jarrad Branthwaite's heading them clear. So that was happening a lot last season. Let the balls come in. Branthwaite and Tarkowski, head them clear, no problem at all. Yeah. But this season, the fullbacks aren't closing, and when they should be, theoretically, because Michael Keane's on the pitch and he's not more confident heading the ball like Jarrad Branthwaite is. And we know Pickford is rooted to the spot, rooted to his line, so he's not going to come out. And that's where the majority of Everton's goals have came from. That 6 yard area, when balls have been swung in the box, there's no Jarrad Branthwaite to head it clear. Michael Keane's a little bit uncertain, and Jordan Pickford's uncertain to come for the ball. It happens at Villa, it happens at Leicester, it happens against Bournemouth. Balls in the box, 6 yard box, happy days. Opposition are loving it. So Jarrad Branthwaite, even half fit, has to come into the team for the sake of that, in my opinion, alongside James Tarkowski.
And Tarkowski there as well then.
And Mykolenko, if fit, which we're hearing that he is fit, he trained with the first team this week. He should start. He's arguably, well, he is. He's our only left back at the moment at the club. So he starts for me in a back four for Everton, which hopefully will keep its first clean sheet of the season.
Yeah, definitely.
Midfield is interesting.
It's definitely going to be an intriguing one, this, because I felt that Decore and Mangala both did okay against Leicester. But obviously you've got Irabuman, you've got, I think, Idrissa
Gueye will be back from Arsenal. Yeah.
And obviously you've got James Garnett as well. So definitely competition for places there.
Yeah.
Interesting. What are you going to go with?
I'm going to go with the 3 in midfield. And what I mean by that, I'd put Abdoulaye Doucouré in there as a 6. I thought he arguably had his best game of the season so far.
Yeah.
Against Leicester. Reason being for that is that he just looked this season in a number 10 like, and I don't mean this in any disrespectful way, like a fan who's ran onto the pitch and I like, what do we do here at this level? The ball was like an hot potato to him. It really was. But when you put him into a 6, he's more comfortable on the ball.
But that's his natural position,
exactly,
though, isn't it?
He's got support. And listen, he helped us last season when we were struggling in terms of being in that role, coming onto the ends of things. But when he's got the ball at his feet, it's not really his style. You
would never describe Abdoulaye Doucouré as a modern day number 10.
No,
and if anything, I'm not like being disrespectful to Sean Dyche or taking any credit away from him, but he kind of stumbled on that, didn't he, with Doucouré in terms of playing as a number 10. It just kind of worked with Dominic Calvert-Lewin, both
There's
of
no one
those
else
two
really
up front.
to push on. Was probably
exactly.
Dwight McNeil to a certain extent, we'll touch on shortly. But yeah, Abdoulaye Doucouré plays in that you'd say a 6 role, but I'm playing Doucouré alongside Mangala, who impressed me last week. One thing I'll say about Mangala, comparing him to Idrissa Gueye. Now, Idrissa Gueye hasn't got off to the best of starts this season. Mangala is more of a ball player. So when Idrissa Gueye will kind of like put out fires and obviously get in people's faces, when he gets the ball, he'll tend to like, he won't pass forwards. He'll look for his fullbacks or his centre-back. That's what he tends to do. He kind of panics in possession, whereas Mangala looks more comfortable on the ball and will play a killer pass forwards. So that's why I'll play Mangala for me. So Mangala starts alongside Abdoulaye Doucouré and Tim Irabuman as well. I think he's been Everton's best player this season. And he's got legs, he's got energy, and he just brings a little bit of reassurance in terms of, I think, what he's lacked this season in terms of just a little bit of a leader alongside him. And I think obviously Abdoulaye Doucouré can provide that for him in terms of when there's no need to go forwards if you're 2-0 up, like we've seen against Bournemouth. Doucouré just to drag him in and say, do you know what? We've got 4 defenders and we've got three midfielders. You're not scoring past the back 8 here.
Yeah.
No chance, do you know what I mean? So I think that's a perfect 3 for me. Them 3 in midfield, they've all got the strengths in there. Abdoulaye Doucouré get round the pitch. Mangala can play a ball forwards and Irabuman can get up and down and loves to tackle himself. So I think that's a perfect combination as a 3, providing you've got the 2 in front of them that can provide crosses.
I think that midfield 3 definitely provides a bit more defensive stability to the team, a bit more steel. So I don't disagree with you, but mine is different. So go on.
And that's providing we've got the 2. It's like a Christmas tree formation, this, isn't it?
I said that to Connor. Just before we came
that
in.
Time of season soon, isn't it? And we're going to go with Dwight McNeil, who we've seen this season in that number 10 role, prove very influential in terms of assists and strikes on goal. So yeah, I'd love to see him in that role alongside Iliman Ndiaye. And do you know what? If you haven't got the ball as well, that can become a 5 if you can quite easily want to do it. You can put Ndiaye on one wing, McNeil on the other, and Sean Dyche has got his ideal 5. If he wants to say, if you're holding on to a 2-1 lead with 10 minutes to go, there's your flat back there straight away. Do you know what I mean? You've got 5 in midfield and 4 at the back straight away. Offensively, you can say, do you know what? We've got 3 really good midfielders there that are going to get around the pitch. You guys, Iliman Ndiaye and Dwight McNeil, you provide the goods to Dominic Calvert-Lewin. And I think that's a perfect team for me to start against Crystal Palace.
Just to insist an omission, who he's in my team, but Lindstrom not in your team?
Yeah, I think we'll see more of Lindstrom away from home
Okay.
The way Everton's set up and the way they play under the current manager, I think he's perfect to hit teams on the counter. We've seen that against Leicester where he should have buried it, to be honest, and he can get you up the pitch straight away. He's found himself in good areas, and we've seen that in the cup game against Southampton. I know it was at home, so I'm kind of contradicting myself here, but all of a sudden, a ball's being played through and he's through on goal. I think we may see that a lot this season, and hopefully he can bring his shooting boots with him, because he should be on 3 goals so far this season. He hasn't got 1.
Yeah.
But he is an asset. And look at him to get involved a little bit more. Sometimes you see him on the wing and he's not getting involved as much. And don't get me wrong, it's up to midfielders to provide him, but he's got to come looking for it as well. In the Premier League, he'll eat it alive if he's just sitting on the wing.
I did say that. I kind of agreed with what you said. I've done not but praise him, but I did say from what I've seen over them in the past 2 games that maybe not so much the Leicester game. It was more the Southampton game that he kind of went missing sometimes, but there was bursts of energy. Obviously the one where he ran in on goal and obviously missed that chance. But for me, he was just whipping crosses in. I just thought, if people are getting on the end of them, you're thinking, what a player he is.
Oh yeah, he's a great asset to have. Don't get me wrong, but he's got to start getting involved. And I was critical of Dwight McNeil and Iliman Ndiaye at the start of the season, Jack Harrison, in terms of getting up. You need to get your numbers up if you want to be influential in the Premier League.
That's it, isn't it?
You need double figures in assists, double figures in goals, getting shots on target, and we've yet to see it from Harrison this season. Yeah. And I was looking forward to seeing Harrison this season. I thought he has a very good pre-season, to be fair, and it's kind of petered out for him. He'll get his chance, no doubt, because obviously the way Everton put into games, he'll get his chance coming off the bench. But it didn't happen for him against Leicester, so I'm hoping that if he does come off the bench, he'll provide an asset for me. So yeah, a 4-3-2-1 formation for me with better up front. I'm only with Dominic Calvert-Lewin up front, and it's quite scary.
It's definitely a Christmas tree, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I would. It's like, I know we were talking about Dominic Calvert-Lewin on the last show. I think it was just before the transfer window shut. And we say, will he go and will he stay? And I know we brought Brozier in, who's quite clearly injured, but it's scary if you look at that team without Dominic Calvert-Lewin. If you're going into Premier League games without Dominic Calvert-Lewin, you go, wow, we've got better up front here. He's going to carry this team until December minimum. Yeah. So it was absolutely critical that we kept hold of Dominic Calvert-Lewin services. And if you look at it on the last 2 or 3 games, he's come into his own. I thought he was brilliant against Bournemouth. I thought he was brilliant against Aston Villa. Honestly, he was immense against Aston Villa, considering the support that he had was non-existent, in my opinion. There was times where they were just volleying the ball up to him. He was holding there against Villa's defence. Listen, he should have scored us 1-on-1. But I thought he was immense, and I thought he'd be really good against Leicester as well. And long may that continue. I think he's going to provide still a good asset for us, regardless of what happens in May at the end of the season.
We need to get you on a show with Gav Buckland. I think he completely disagree with you, to be honest.
And me and Gav are always arguing. You want to see our WhatsApps?
I described keeping Calvert-Lewin in the summer as a success, and he shot me right down.
He's just thinking of the balance books, isn't he, Gav? He's just accounts man.
He loves it, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's just thinking of accounts, getting money in. That's all he is.
Okay, well, we'll go through my team quickly. Jordan Pickford, the exact same as Tony. Start with the left back, same as Tony Mykolenko. Obviously, Jarrad Branthwaite. I completely agree. Even if he's not 100% fit, we need to do something different. And he played against Sunderland, wasn't it, in the under-21s. Yeah. Came through that, no issues. Doesn't seem to be any issues. I'm sure we'll get the team news from Sean Dyche at the press conference. But for me, Branthwaite is in that team alongside his partner in crime, James Tarkowski, who hopefully can start finding a little bit of form because, let's face it, he did pick up an injury in pre-season. Whether that's contributed to his, downturn in form, we'll never know. But the glaring omission from that side, and the main reason for me why we've conceded so many goals is Jarrad Branthwaite. It really is. It is where we get a little bit contentious. So jump in anytime you want. You know what? You put a really good case for defence for Ashley Young. I just think that at 39 years of age, as a right back, this might be a little bit harsh, but he is a bit of a liability on that side. I do think that he played really well against Leicester as a left back. Yeah. I think he looked a bit more assured and composed, provided that assist. I can't put my finger quite on the reason why that is the case. A naturally right-footed winger / fullback and Ashley Young who can then go over to left back and look better. I don't know. let us know in the comments why you think that is. But for me, it would be Coleman if he was fit.
Yeah,
I think you said that as well.
Yeah.
But I think James Garner should come in, because when I say come in, I think he should keep his place as the right full-back. I think he did very well against Leicester. I think he had a really tough time against Villa when he came on as a right-back. Because when you think about it, during the week leading up to Villa, the team's probably drilled as a defenseman, or you hope they're drilled as a defenseman, how to play. Mykolenko goes off sick. Ashley Young then has to move over to the left. Garner is just literally thrown in at the deep end. And then I think he probably left a little bit of too much space, didn't he, for one of the Villa goals, if I remember. But I think he looked a lot more assured against Leicester as a right back. And to be honest, I think he's maybe just behind Seamus Coleman. He's our best right back at the club.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from there. The only worry for me with James Garner is that there's been times against Leicester and definitely against Aston Villa where he's looked like a little bit like a fish out of water, where he doesn't know the position. Yet he's played there before. But I think this season, when I've seen him, he's like, do I go forward, do I go back? I think he got booked against Leicester, if I remember rightly. And he's just like, he doesn't know whether, are we pushing out as a team? And you can hear Tarkowski say, get in here. You can quite clearly see, and against Aston Villa, there was that gaping hole between him and Michael Keane, I think it was at one side, and they had Jake O'Brien come into the mix straight away, and it was just that side, and I felt sorry for him. That ball in behind him was causing havoc, and he couldn't cope with it. Yet he could be up against Eze, which it will be a tough ask. If Eze's swapping with Nketiah on that side, they'll have Mateta to deal with as well. So Palace have got options in an offensive point of view. So I can see where you're coming from in terms of James Garner, but I just worry about him knowing the position. I'd rather be more assured about Ashley Young knowing that position, if that kind of makes sense. I think he's a little bit more experienced and have the know-how to maybe, if an Eze's coming up against him, just put him into the stand or leave one on him, or just do something where I think Garner's, he just looks like a fish out of water in that position at the moment, in my opinion.
No, I mean, that's fine. I just think he's going to be a lot more mobile than Ashley Young.
Yeah, I agree.
And let's face it, Palace have got fast wingers. I don't think Garner would match their pace, but obviously, I just think he's ahead of anyone else. And interestingly enough, did you listen to the Kevin Thelwell interview?
Yes.
When he was talking about the right back situation and the reason why they prioritised certain positions over right back. You can read, maybe I'm reading too much into this, but he kind of name checked Garner over Patterson as a right back option. I think, hopefully once Patterson's fit, you would like to think that he'd push hard for that right back position.
He's been fit before.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. I think that's the hope. Whether he does, I don't know. But for me, it's Garner in there.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, midfielders. I'm going to go slightly different to you, Todd. Midfield 2, same as Leicester, to be honest. Because I felt like this added a little bit more steel and a little bit more defensive cover and protection to the back four. And I think that proved, to be honest, I know we conceded a goal, but we weren't conceding 3-4 like we have done in the past. So it's Doucouré and Mangala. Both stay in there for me. I think you're absolutely spot on about Mangala. I think he's probably more of a ball player, and he'll probably look to find those passes to, the forward players. I think Doucouré is just, we've said it just there, he's a number 6. He's a tried and tested, more deeper player, and that's where his attributes come from. Yeah. You're right in that when he gets on the ball, he doesn't do much, but he can bring the ball forward. He's
a ball carrier more than a ball player.
That's why he's better at playing deep to bring the ball forward. Because, I know he scored a couple of important goals for us as that number 10, but he doesn't provide that much creativity as a number 10, does he? So it's for me, it's that number 6 position, centre midfield position, whatever you want to call it. It's those two that should start for me against
what you can quite
Palace.
Clearly see with Doucouré in that midfield role is that if you do get a second ball in the centre midfield, you can see Doucouré getting hold of the ball. You don't ask him to obviously play balls through the eye of a needle. He's a ball carrier, and then you'll see Ndiaye drift out or McNeil, and then all of a sudden Ndiaye's got the ball on the halfway line and he's getting you up the pitch, and then you can see Doucouré and Mangala get themselves up the pitch, and Everton all of a sudden push out as a team. So yeah, he's definitely a ball carrier that you definitely need as a number 6 there.
Okay, I'm going to go the front, well, not front 3, but the next 3. I think this trio played really well against Leicester and probably should have scored more goals than the one that we got. And I don't really want to break it up because I think it's promising. I think there's potential there. So I'm going to go with continue with Dwight McNeil as the number 10. I think he's shown that he is capable of playing there. Alongside him is Illiman and Dye. I think it goes without saying he's probably one of the first names on the team sheet. And then we've got Jesper Lindstrom. I think he needs to play for me. I think he needs the minutes. So whether that means he comes off after 70 odd minutes, then so be it. Obviously there was the question mark that he was taken off against Leicester, and we didn't look quite the same proposition going forward. I think it probably was a little bit too early to take him off against Leicester, to be honest.
Does that leave Everton's right-hand side extremely weak?
I don't think it does.
With Lindstrom having not played many games in the Premier League and not flying, so to speak, and then you've got a right-back who doesn't look assured at the moment. If Eze could play on that left side, I'm just playing devil's advocate. Eze would look at that and go, hang on, they've got two midfielders. They've got Lindstrom, who's not setting the world alight, who's obviously just come into the Premier League, and they've got James Garner, who's not a recognised right back. I'm filling my boots there if I'm Eze.
I think the best form of defence for Everton at this moment is attack. Okay. I think we rely too much, or we overthink things too much about the opposition and what they can, what do to us. But
you've got to think about the opposition's strengths as well.
Of course, you've got to do that.
Nketiah and obviously Eze. That'll be their three.
I think you've definitely got to keep an eye on what the opposition are doing. But I think that three has got huge potential, and it needs to just continue playing and gelling a little bit more. And I think it can do. And what better place to do it at Goodison Park against a team that you do usually win against anyway.
And with the field goal factor around the club, hopefully.
It's going to be massive Saturday, so I mean, I know things are complete with the takeover, and things could change, but it's looking like it's there. Yeah. I think the atmosphere is going to be buoyed. I think there's going to be a lot better atmosphere than what was originally thought. And
how good will it be, if we do get a positive result coming out of Goodison with our first win?
Yeah.
Because it's our swan song to Goodison this season. Yeah. Every time we've been in there, we've been coming out after the defeat. So imagine how good it would feel to, on a Saturday afternoon, walking out the stadium with obviously all that's happened off the pitch that could be behind us. There's light at the end of the tunnel there on the back of our first win at Goodison. And then we can start to enjoy Goodison for its final lead, and can't you? So, yeah, I think it's a positive performance and results is desperately needed.
Definitely. Let's finish off with my team then. Calvert-Lewin. Obviously, probably one of the first teams on the team sheet again. There's a lot of first names on the team sheet, isn't there?
It basically, I'd say about 7 or 8 picks themselves, don't you know, in terms of the team. And that's with nearly 90% of the squad fit.
Yeah, definitely. I just think my team probably has a little bit more width than yours. I don't know what you think. Maybe your team's got a little bit more steel and protection in front of the back four. I don't know. Let us know in the comments what you think. What team would you go with? Would you go with Tony's, who's in the pink? Would you go with mine, that's in the yellow? I think we've made a case for which team we go for. That would be my starting 11, keeping the core of what we had against Leicester, but bringing Jarrad Branthwaite back in that team. People are going to go, well, you haven't got Irabuman in that team. And you know what? The more I thought about it, I think, you know what, he's done well since he's come in, but I do think there's a couple of question marks over his defensive capabilities and whether that's
why I've put him in alongside the two.
Which is why when I said you got the midfield three, I think that offers him a little bit more protection. But I think my two did well against midfield, two did well against Leicester. Let's build on a promising result, which was disappointing that we didn't go on and win it, but we stopped the rot at least and got a point.
One big thing before we do prediction, I think Everton have got to get the ball to Illiman as much as possible. Yeah. He's on another level. He's on another level to anything that we've got. What I mean by that, from an attacking perspective, we know Jarrad Branthwaite's a very good defender, but from offensively, Illiman is just like he's another Stephen Pienaar who was on the ball. He's eloquent, he's confident, he'll take the ball in tight areas. He's got absolutely every tool that you want to create goals, to score goals. He's getting Evertonians off the seats. The minute I've seen him in pre-season, wow, we've got one here. Yeah. We've actually got one. He's Everton's diamonds in the rough, and I'm looking forward to seeing him on Saturday.
Do you know what I'd like to actually see? I'm not saying he should do this like every 10 or 15 minutes. But I'd like to see Ndiaye and McNeil maybe swap every now and again if it's not working, because I feel like Ndiaye and Lindstrom can form a bit of a partnership in the link-up play. Yeah. So I think that could be a play that we go for. But fair play to McNeil. I did make a case for him as a number 10 last season.
On the flip side, then, I think your team scores more goals where mine concedes less.
Maybe. But my team's got Jarrad Branthwaite in as well, so fingers crossed. Should we go with predictions then to finish off?
Yep. I will go 2-1 Everton.
2-1?
With my team.
Oh, God. Does that mean we go 2-0 up and then concede?
I think, don't get me wrong, Palace have got off to like a sticky start, but we've had some tough fixtures. They played United and Chelsea, etc. Although they did get a point against Chelsea, to be fair to them. You've got Wharton, who's a very good, Adam Wharton, who's a very good midfielder in the side. Eze's in there. You'll have Nketiah, you'll have Mateta, who's a force, but I don't think much of the rest of the midfield or defence, although they've got Mark Gay in there. Yeah, I think they can score a goal, maybe from like a 30-yarder from Eze or something like that. But I think Everton can score more than one. So, yeah, I'm predicting Everton to win by 2-1.
Okay, fair results or fair prediction. I think I'm going to go with 3-1.
3-1? I was scoring 3 goals.
I was going to go with 3-0, but I thought...
Is the vodka in there? The vodka in there?
It's not as bad as my prediction the other week, the other month, where I said we'd win the League Cup. Yeah, 3-1. Do you know what? I think if I'm going to completely predict the game from how I see it, 1-0 up, Palace will score, and then it'll be like, we've done it again. We were 1-0 up and we conceded, but then we'll find a way through. We'll score to make it 2-1, and then we'll get a late goal to make it 3-1. There's my prediction. Save that. There you go.
Get the ball to Willem Ndiaye. That's Everton's main asset.
Without a doubt, don't disagree. You're going to be there, Tony, on Saturday?
I'll be there, yeah, cheering on the Blues, hopefully to get the first 3 points of the season.
Fantastic. Okay, we'll finish off there because we have actually done over an hour. So any final remarks before we do?
No, it's just like for the first time in a long while, you're actually looking forward to getting matters resolved on and off the pitch. It's been like a big grey cloud, as I touched on at the start of the show. It's just been surrounding Goodison for many years. You haven't had to look forward to much, to be honest, but there's light at the end of the tunnel, pending Premier League approval, and now as Evertonians going into the grounds on Saturday, we should be able to start the Goodison Park Swan Song.
Okay, that is all for today's show. Let us know in the comments whether you agree with Tony's team or agree with my team, and let us know your predictions as well. Also, give us a like, hit the thumbs up, and subscribe to the Royal Blue YouTube channel. And we are always after some 5-star reviews for Apple and Spotify as well. So, yeah, I've been Ian Croll, joined by Tony Scott, and this has been the Royal Blue Podcast.
You've been listening to the Royal Blue Podcast from the Liverpool Echo.